I know you're joining us from a little bit of all over, and we're going to kind of, as you're introducing yourself, just mention where you're joining us from. So this session is titled Music and Mental Health, the Healing Power of Sound. What I'd like to do is go ahead and ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves. We can start with Shanti Dawes.
Hi, first of all, thank you, Nadia, for putting together such an incredible conference. And it was great yesterday. And I know that your viewers are in for a treat today. It's an honor to serve on this panel. I am the founder of Silence to Shame, which is a mental health organization that has been in existence since 2016, but the concept in 2015, it started just as a movement. I am a 25, 30-year music industry veteran. I got my start at LaFace Records, helping to break artists like Outkast and Usher and TLC, and worked my way up to executive vice president, went through my own mental health challenges. My dad took his own life. And so now I do this work full time, but we also have started going back into the music industry to create programming and initiatives around music and mental wellness for artists and creatives. So it's just an honor to be here today and to serve with these other amazing panelists that I'm looking forward to getting to know.
Okay, Jolie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Chelly. I am from the Philippines and I am so happy to be here. It's 11 p.m. here, it's nighttime, and I'm really excited. I am a singer-songwriter and a mental health advocate. Like, I write music just to I'm getting nervous, but yeah, it's I write music. I write music like to help me cope with my mental health because I am diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety disorder, but that doesn't prevent me from creating. That doesn't prevent me from really speaking out. And because here in the Philippines, there's a huge stigma, and there are a lot of people going. There's just like a lot of like dark things happening here. Like, the system is really rotten and all, and it's not like mental health care isn't that accessible. And I've been doing my part, like through facilitating workshops for teachers. Like, I've been holding space for them, and I am also in the process of studying music therapy, just really getting deep into it in a way. And yeah, I'm just really excited. Maybe I just, like, while we're like talking, I'm just really frazzled right now. Thank you.
Jolie, we've had at least 2 or 3 calls just in preparation for this.
Yeah.
Another, and I'm extremely excited that when we reached out, you agreed. I'm excited with the conversations I've had with you, and I believe your agent. Because what I want people to really understand is she is a rising star in international music. If you have the opportunity to listen to some of her music, her voice is spectacular, but it's really also her heart and passion in her music. So I'm excited for you to be here joining us this morning for us and this evening for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Stephanie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stefanie Tovar. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, porque soy una proud Latina. I am from Dallas, Texas. I actually started as a touring performing artist. I used to travel internationally with Sesame Street back in the day. And then tragedy impacted my life. My first love took his own life, and that really just had me really evaluate how I was contributing to community and also my own mental health, my own well-being. And so that inspired me to go back to Texas and, go into the practices of yoga. And that was like in 2008. How long it's been. But yeah, I started teaching yoga at that time, realized who wasn't in the room in these wellness spaces, because let's face it, not everyone can afford a $25 drop-in per time. And so I ended up in 2017 finding, I'm the founder and CEO of Hanuman Homies, which is a yoga outreach nonprofit that offers yoga and meditation. The primary focus is youth, but we've, of course, since COVID, since these times, we all need the help, right? So providing wellness online and in person. mental health awareness. Also really a lot of sessions that are really about counteracting the collective gaslighting that we receive about like how our experience isn't real. I'm there to tell kids and to tell us what we are experiencing in this world is real. Your experience is valid, and just trying to combat the trauma that comes from that. I'm also a recording artist. My album Shine a Light charted in the billboards in New Age music. And I'm a Bhakti yoga person. So I'm very passionate about Bhakti and the power of chanting a mantra and how that can help unify us and heal us. So that's me, y'all.
Thank you, Stefanie. So I actually had the opportunity to meet Stefanie in Austin, Texas, when we were presenting at the South by Southwest conference. I think that was in 2018, maybe. It's been a couple years, but she was a light then. She's a light now. I love following her online. The Abuela video that we showed earlier today is her video. It's from her Instagram, so I highly encourage you to follow her. And we've been looking for an opportunity to work together, so I'm so excited for you to be here for this panel today. So what you have, again, No More Martyrs is a mental health awareness campaign. We're a national mental health awareness campaign, right? So what you have now are speakers in Atlanta, the Philippines, and Texas, right, Dallas. But we are found and headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm excited to share the last three panelists who are going to be introducing themselves are located right here in the Magic City. So I'm going to ask DJ Supreme to introduce himself this morning.
You could use the government name. It's all good with me. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me clearly.
Yep.
My name is DJ Supreme, and I'm program director of WUHT FM Hot 107.7 radio station here in Birmingham. I'm also an artist and a producer, one half of the group Shaheed and DJ Supreme, and also I'm a co-founder of an educational initiative, a hip-hop educational initiative called Knowledge, Rhythm, and Understanding, which we go into schools and boys and girls clubs and different organizations teaching the youth hip-hop culture, and we actually teach it to them and show it to them as therapy, which we've actually been successful in boosting self-esteem and things of that nature. So that's been a really great journey that we've been on. We've been developing it for the past 10 years. We just recently have started classes this summer. As a matter of fact, we'll be at Jonesboro Elementary School today in Bessemer, teaching the kids the 4 elements of hip hop. And it's been a great experience. So, and Nadia, I really do appreciate you inviting me to be on this panel. I thank you so much.
Thank you for all of that and the fantastic work you're doing. And I've caught a show or two. I'm looking to get into a couple of more. So I'm excited to have you here. Like I feel like just in listening to the intros, because I feel like I know y'all, but then I'm hearing about all this other extra stuff you're doing. And I'm like, wait, what? Huh? Because like DJ Supreme, I got to know about that school program. I got to know how we could support it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know that. I knew the other things. And then you're mentioning this and I'm like, wait, what? Whoa, hold on. Like we got to support that. So we will be talking. Okay, so let me introduce the next panelist who is in the studio, just like DJ Supreme looks like, apparently. I don't know if you're in the studio or at your home, but yes. Okay. But Dana, are you on? Dana, are you on air?
I am.
Oh, okay. Do you want us to come back to you?
No, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Well, my name is Dana, Lady Woodruff. I am a midday personality. So like right now I'm on the radio at B94.9 WATV here in Birmingham. I've been on radio for about 20, maybe almost 20 years. It's amazing. I host this talk show known as Vital, which talks about and addresses all things vital, education, relationships, which I love. I'm also a licensed therapist. Couples and family is my focus. And I'm also a writer and an author as well. And I love music and poetry. I write on napkins, notebooks, sticky notes, everywhere. So I'm just really, 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 really happy to be here and spend this time with you guys this morning.
Thank you. And last but certainly not in any way, shape, form, or fashion least, if I could ask Fabio to please introduce himself.
All right, good morning, good morning. Thank you, Nadia, for having me here. What a group of people. Thank you so much, honored to be here and to hear from you guys and learn from you. I'm originally from Brazil. I've been living in Birmingham for the past 2 years. I've been in the US for over 20. I was in Washington, DC for most of my time here, and I moved to Birmingham 2 years ago. I teach Capoeira Angola. I'm a Capoeira Angola master. I don't like to say master in English because it has a different connotation here, but in Portuguese it's master, okay? And I work with youth, adults, with people of all ages, teaching and sharing the African-based art form of Capoeira Angola that was developed in Brazil, during slavery to fight against the oppression that was happening, of course, right? And music is a big part of Capoeira. It's one of the main ways that we kept traditions alive and messages and lessons and people's, lives and spirits, and we carry on with that. For me personally, Capoeira is what, makes me stay sane in this country, like coming from Brazil, not having a community here, not having family here. Capoeira became my family, became my community, and Capoeira music helped me immensely to stay, looking forward and moving forward. So I'm glad to be here and be able to share a little bit with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know, and I'm hoping that our audience must be incredibly excited, because I'm excited that when I reached out, each one of you said, yes, I'm a big fan of each of you and the work that you're doing. And this subject, right? Because music plays an incredible role in my own mental wellness. And so I like and enjoy having the conversations around this. But we also know that research speaks to the psychological benefits of music. It helps in cognitive performance. It helps to reduce stress. It helps to improve memory and sleeping and manage pain and improve motivation. And we also know that it supports the reduction of symptoms associated with depression and anxiety. A big part of storytelling, though, that I think is also very healing is the storytelling aspect, right? So that's why No More Martyrs hosts each Sunday, Soundtrack Sunday. And we ask individuals who follow us on social media to tell us what songs are playing on the soundtrack of your life. And we know that because of mood and experiences and just life, that might change from time to time, right? It might be something really soft and meditative and healing 1 week, and then the next week you're in a space where it's like grunge, it's like a whole nother kind of vibe, because that's where you are, and it's okay. So Soundtrack Sunday, each Sunday on all of our social media platforms, you'll see those conversations and you'll see those posts. So what I want to do is just kind of jump into some questions for each of you. I want to start with you, Shanti, because I recently read a publication that Silence the Shame is partnering with Sony Music Publishing to launch a program associated with music. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Absolutely. So yeah, we're very grateful. My good friend, John Platt, who's the chairman and CEO of Sony, he and I have been friends for many years, back in when I was at the labels. And we realized that so many musicians, even though music can be great, as a form of healing, sometimes it's hard for the creatives to really understand the power of what they're doing, because they're just in such a bad place and space personally, right? Sometimes outside of the profession. And so we've seen suicide rates increase amongst those in the music community and creative community, as well as use of, recreational drugs as a form of coping. And so what we wanted to be able to do, and we're not here to be like the social police, right? But we do want to offer other ways of coping, and then really getting the creative community to understand the healing power of music. So we created what's called the Soundtrack of Mental Health. And basically those are wellness trainings. It's like 60-minute wellness training. So you'll learn about suicide prevention. We have through QPR training. We're also doing like healthy relationships training. So it's less about the music per se, but really trying to bring wellness overall to the music community, and then use musicians and other licensed mental health clinicians, like the folks that are looking today and watching, and some of you like Lady Wu and the work that you do, to let artists and musicians know, like, there are healthy ways to cope. Because I think one thing that we've seen with the pandemic is a lot of our creatives and songwriters that I had the pleasure of talking to over the pandemic, they were just in a really low place. And, you know, you couldn't tour, you couldn't get out and express yourself. Like, writing the song is one thing, but really being able to get out there and perform it in front of others, I think is a way that has been transformative for musicians and creatives to actually get out there and release that. So that release was taken away during the pandemic, and a lot of people were isolated. Some of the songwriters that were just starting out, you know, they need the financial support of being able to tour. So much happened within that time period that we felt like being able to bring these wellness trainings, again, around self-care, around understanding therapy, around healthy ways to cope would be good for the music community. And we're also working to take it to other industries and communities. And there's a plaque on my wall it's actually a picture. It says, where words fail, music speaks, and it's by Hans Christian Andersen. And I just think that's so important. And so we want to empower the musicians to even understand how to meditate and how to use that own music that they create can help to heal them, especially in such tough times. So we started out with Sony Music, but then we're gonna, because of the grant that we received, we're gonna take it into other communities so that someone like, I'm gonna mispronounce your name, but Kelly, I love that's a beautiful name, but like, she could take it for free, right? So we want to be able to offer these trainings to creatives so that they're free and that they can help heal the music community. Because I feel like musicians put so much into us, right? Because of the healing properties of music, that we now need to pour back into the creative community so that we can help them, because they don't realize such a tremendous service that they're offering to us, because music is healing, but we need to allow them to be able to create this healing music and help pour back into them.
I'm extremely excited to hear about that project, Shanti, especially since, and for those who don't know, No More Martyrs started after 3 notable Black women were lost to suicide. And these women received media coverage. And one of those women was Simone Battle. And she was a contestant on the X Factor, you know, one of those musical kind of competitions that show on television. And even though she didn't win the contest, she still joined a girls group. So she was finishing up an album. She was about to go on tour. She was at the very beginning of her musical career, and she was lost to suicide. And it really shocked a lot of individuals. So the program that you're speaking to, Shanti, is so important. And I'm so happy to hear that it exists. Stefanie, let's talk to you a little bit, because you're a yoga instructor, you're a musician, you really work hard to create these collective spaces that build awareness and awakenings. How do you incorporate music into the healing work that you do?
Music is a component of all of the wellness offerings that I provide. At the end of all of my sessions, I provide live music. And given, you know, because we're in Texas, y'all, so given where I am, sometimes people are able to join me in sound. And I get to speak to how much healing that can happen in us individually releasing our voices, whether you're a professional singer or not. Stimulating the vagus nerve, which is a way to help reduce stress. It deactivates the amygdala, which is our fight or flight response to life. Like, there's just so many benefits to actually offering it. And particularly mantra, which are the sounds of South Asian ancestors, you know, descended from India. These sounds really, they activate different parts of the palate. So, you know, like in the feet and the hands, there's reflexology, where there's different nerve endings that help support and physical well-being. Same as with our soft palate. And what's so cool is that these sounds actually help activate and massage our bodies in ways that are very unique to other languages. So the actual physical act of mantra can be incredibly healing, but especially, you know, I've been able to be in shelters and with kiddos in these times, and I'll even explicitly be able to tell them, I'm singing prayer over you right now. Kids, I'm gonna wash prayer over you, and I'm gonna wash sounds over you, to really help people understand that it may sound entertaining, but it's not entertainment. It's meant to be a healing, blessing modality. And so by offering it, hopefully folks that feel it feel blessed. And in joining me, they are the conduits of blessings. They are the conduits of healing. And so, yeah, it's at the end of all of my offerings. And then the reason for releasing the album was really just so that I could help love on people 24 hours a day. You know, if they need at 2 a.m, if they need to love it, you know, during their lunch break, I'm there. The sounds are there, and hopefully the heart is with them always.
Absolutely. So what I'd really like to do is ask all of our panelists that as you're speaking to the work you're doing, please feel free to post links into our chat box so that our participants know where to find you, know how to find those albums, know how to follow you on social media. I definitely want them to connect to these resources that you're mentioning. DJ Supreme, mental health has been a more current topic in the field of hip hop, right? We've seen Kid Cudi talking about it, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, Logic. But when I think about hip hop and mental health, it's kind of been there. I think about Organized Confusion. I think about, you know, Grandmaster Flash, you know, I think about even, you know, back when I was in high school, DMX, you know, putting out some of his music and talking about some of these themes in his work. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in the space of hip hop as far as the comfort and the normalization of talking about mental health, and how do you incorporate it in the work that you're doing?
Well, there definitely is a comfort now in discussing mental health and just bringing awareness. I credit hip hop really with breaking down those stigmas and those taboos. And like you said, as early as Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with The Message, quite possibly one of the earliest references of, you know, just explaining to the listener and taking the listener through the journey of the traumas that they were going through at that time and still going through to this day. So I do definitely wholeheartedly credit hip hop with that. When you've mentioned Organized Confusion, song, they had a song called Stress, as you know, Arrested Development. You know, that the song Tennessee basically is a letter to God, outlining the anxiety that the artist is going through in his his thirst for knowledge, and you know, learning of the atrocities that his ancestors went through. So definitely, you mentioned Kid Cudi, Ghetto Boys, Mind Playing Tricks on Me, you know, very popular song that again brought awareness to the mental, the things that especially us as a people have gone through. And like I said, it had always been taboo, you know, just growing up. You were never supposed to talk about it. You know, you say you got that family member, or you got that, you know what I'm saying, but you were never supposed to talk about it. You got the guy in the neighborhood and all, you know. I know in growing up, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and we had this guy in our neighborhood that it was rumored that he was playing. And excuse me if I'm politically incorrect, but the word around the neighborhood is that he was playing crazy to get a check, you know, and, you know, just making light of the situation, you know what I'm saying, when not really exploring what he actually was going through. Turns out, you know what I'm saying, he was a veteran, and he was, you know, really, really traumatized, you know, by this. You know, my father also, for example, was a veteran. God rest his soul. He passed away last December. He was also a veteran, and he would from Vietnam, you know what I'm saying, and he, you know, explained to me a lot of the things that he had gone through, and you know, it's something that shouldn't be shunned. So, you know, again, hip hop, you know, for me, especially for me, is a stress reliever. It is something that I can turn to, because you have people in your peer group that have gone through these same anxieties, you know. Tupac, also another great artist that was one of those people that was really in touch with his mental awareness, you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely credit hip hop with breaking down those stigmas.
Thank you for that. Some of those videos are going to be posted in our links for those who might not be familiar with those artists. Please familiarize yourself with those artists, because it's so important for you to understand how representation and storytelling happens in these songs that were mentioned by DJ Supreme. Thank you so much for that. Shelly, I read in an international publication, and you've also shared here, that you're diagnosed with post-traumatic stress syndrome and clinical depression. I'm very interested in how, what message about mental health you want to share, I will say mental health and wellness, that you want to share in your music and the work that you're doing in the Philippines.
I feel like it's really about normalizing vulnerable conversations and talking about emotions, because usually there is a huge taboo here in the Philippines. And it's also, recently I actually learned that mental health is also political. Like, the political climate here in the Philippines is really horrible, and the way our government has been handling the pandemic, like, I feel like the Philippines is already like going through another, it's a pandemic within a pandemic also, because, you know, not everyone has the access to public health care, or, well, since like basic public health care, so especially mental health care. So with what I'm doing, I mean, as little as it may be, but I've been writing songs to accompany, well, supposedly accompany myself through my healing journey, because it reflects like every, I don't know, my music somehow mirrors like how I feel. It mirrors every phase in my, every season in my life. And whenever I get like a panic attack or I get a depressive episode, somehow music has always been there for me, just accompanying me. And deciding to release that, it's only there that I realized, oh, like there are so many people here in the Philippines who are going through it. Because like the one of the songs that it actually has 1 million plays on Spotify, which made me really happy. That it's called Puno, which means tree, and it kind of paints a picture of a safe space where you're under a tree with a hammock. We call it a duyan hammock, and then you're just like embracing someone you love, and while being cradled by the wind. And that is a personal lullaby that I wrote for myself. And somehow these songs that I've released, it sparked a lot of conversations about anxiety. It sparked a lot of conversations about depression. And I realized that it's not just about mental health awareness and just like, oh, this is the suicide prevention numbers. It's not just about that, but it's really about holding space for people. And I realized that music has always been my companion, but it has always been like the companion of my listeners as well. And with that, like, I was able to form a little community, which I don't know how to manage yet. I mean, like, that's the thing, like, I get so overwhelmed. Like, I'm also experiencing it. It's why I realized that I also have to seek help from other people. It's really about community building and collaborating with people and knowing my strengths, knowing my weaknesses. Like, okay, I have the, like, all these creative ideas and all that, but I will need like a team to help me like build these things. And I love what Shanti mentioned a while ago. Actually, me and my colleagues have been talking about something similar, of really creating a community for aspiring musicians. And because it's kind of hard to make it like in the industry, especially now during the pandemic. Like, it's because like financially, economically, like we're living in a third world country, so it's not really practical to actually be a musician here. So like, I'm honestly also struggling, but I don't know, I just thank the universe that I don't know that I'm able to make ends meet, even if like this is my situation. But I really feel drawn and called to this advocacy. Like, it's really, I really witnessed how music is so powerful. Like, it's a reason why I wanted to like study further, like, and become a music therapist, even if it's like I wasn't able to finish my degree. But I wanted to somehow continue, and because it's not also accessible here, but I found a way. And yeah, I wanted to go beyond and really build a community, a safe space here in our country, to just normalize that, to just like create safe spaces for people through music and through art.
Shelly, you're doing it. You are absolutely doing the work. Again, I'm just so excited that you're joining us here. And Shanti, with the work that you're doing, I absolutely want to connect you with every single one of the artists on this platform and in this panel right now, because they are not only doing the work of creating music, they are doing healing work and advocacy work and community work in each of their individual communities. You've got multiple locations here. So I want to connect them to you. I will make sure I connect them to you, that you all can potentially collaborate and do some other works. I feel like No More Martyrs might need to go to the Philippines. Like, I don't know. We might need to.
Yes.
We might
be
need to
open
make
to that. Yes, please.
I think we might have to make that happen. Okay. Fabio, let me talk to you about this. So we're talking about trips, right? So No More Martyrs actually traveled to Salvador, Brazil in 2018. And for those who might not be aware, in Salvador, it's the highest population of African descent outside of the continent of Africa. So it was very exciting to go there and meet with different individuals and organizations. We went to a mental health facility. We sat and talked with women who talked about Black color, they talked about their race, Black women who talked about their ethnicity, and then they talked about mental health. But what we found when we got there is that the understanding of mental health in Brazil was very much connected to cultural practice. It was very much connected to earth and sky and wind and water. We had to change the conversation from what has historically been a medical and clinical conversation in the US to something that was much more cultural, religious, and even historical when we had that conversation in Brazil. So really what I want to ask you, Fabio, is that when it came to Capoeira, individuals talked about using that practice to balance themselves in the same ways you talked about using that practice to balance yourself here in the US. That was a bit of what was used there. And what we also came across were a lot of individuals traveling from around the world to Brazil to go to different clinics and workshops. So what I'd like to ask you is, can you really just tell us what, for those who might not be aware, what Capoeira is and how music plays a role in this practice?
Oh, easy question, huh? So, well, Capoeira is an African-based art form that was developed in Brazil. We never say it was born in Brazil, because some people get into that thinking that like Capoeira is Brazilian. Capoeira is not Brazilian, Capoeira is African. Because the context of being developed in Brazil, it has Brazilian elements, of course, but if you look through the diaspora, you're gonna see many art forms very similar to Capoeira. In Laja, they have something called, in Martinique, they have something called Laja. In Cuba, they have something called Mani. In Colombia, they have something else. Here in South Georgia, in Savannah, they had something called knocking kicking. It's very similar to Capoeira. So Capoeira is unique to Brazil in the sense of the way that was developed, but it's an African-based art form that, as we all know, during the slavery, the Africans brought everything with them, right? Their culture, their knowledge, they couldn't take that away from them. So it was developed, with African people in Brazil as a way to survive, like many other art forms throughout the diaspora. And music is essential in that, right? With music, you can pass knowledge, and not only through the singing, but to the playing of the instruments. People were able to, have different rhythms, patterns that they play, and it means something different. Capoeira was used as a tool for defense, in Brazil for many years. And because of that, it was outlawed until 1937. You could go to jail, for practicing Capoeira. And reality that until like mid-90s, Capoeira was still not something that your parents want you to do, because that was related to, Black and poor people, so it wasn't something like today. Capoeira is like in 150 countries. Many universities here in the US, they have Capoeira programs. You talk about Harvard, Princeton, Yale, they all have Capoeira programs. So it's like, it's a very like, you know, funny situation in a way to see that, like, you know, there's a generation ago, people were going to jail, you know, for practicing capoeira, and nowadays people are like making a living, you know, teaching fancy universities. I always try to be very careful with that concept, because it's not you know, it's a privilege to have capoeira here these days, and people think, you know, it's a right. It's very, very difficult for me sometimes to see, you know, how people are doing things with capoeira, you know, selling capoeira in a way that it shouldn't be. They should, in my opinion, there should be more respect to the art form itself. You know, it has a history of pain, okay? But one of the myths that we had in capoeira before was that the music was introduced to disguise the art form, the martial arts, right? For many years we thought like that. They were like, oh, that is, until people start like, you know, actually going back to the continent and saying like music is a daily part of people's life, you know, like you walk, the way you talk, everything has music, has rhythm. So, and seeing other martial arts from Africa as well, you see the music is right there, you know, so your body, you know, you start moving with the music. It helps that, you know, that, and people need to understand, like, you know, that it wasn't a disguise, it was always part of it. It was on purpose that people had the music, right? And through the music, being able, again, to tell stories, to give advice, you know, keep memories alive, you know. It's really mind-blowing the word that capoeira has within music only. I try to do my work, focus a little bit more on the music, because when you say capoeira and people think martial arts, they try to focus on the fighting aspect. And I think there's too much of that already, that I don't need to pass that along. You know, there are martial arts aspects that we keep, of course, but I feel like the most important thing these days for us is the music aspect, because you have to be, you know, you're gonna learn how to play an instrument that you probably never seen before. You're gonna have to sing in Portuguese, which, you know, if you're talking about for people outside Brazil, will be a second language, and in front of people that you've never seen before. You know, so like that, like a lot of people get like, you know, they don't wanna fail, right? That fear of like, I don't know how to do this. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what we wanna work on. You know, like that fear of like, I don't know how to play this instrument, I don't know how to sing in Portuguese, you know, so yes, that is exactly the wall that we want to break, you know, so we can, as a community, you know, heal each other. You know, that circle is a healing circle. You mentioned before, you know, like the contestant that passed away, you know, that committed suicide, you know, that aspect of competition, it's sickening our society for many years already. And we shy away from that in capoeira. And the capoeira style that I practice is considered the most traditional style. We don't have a belt system or anything like that. Like what you know is what you carry with you. You know what you know. Like you don't have to have an external piece, you know, around your waist to show people what you know. You show by the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you treat each other, you know, and the music does that. You know, the music breaks that wall, because a lot of people will come like, you know, with like a strong sense of like, especially these days with like MMA being so highlighted everywhere, they want to learn how to fight. And it's like, no, we want to learn how to love each other, you know, like, and music makes that much easier. You know, you get somebody that is like ready to, you know, like come to a capoeira class, ready to, you know, be able to fight. And we're like, here, play this instrument. And they're like, ah. And it's like, yes, you're going to play that instrument and you're going to learn how to sing, and you're going to sing in front of everybody, and nobody's going to be judging you. You know, that is the most important thing. We're not here to judge each other. You know, I always joke, like, we're not like an American Idol contestants here. Like, you know, we're trying to learn to find our singing voice, you know, and at some point you're going to be leading the songs, you're going to be on the spotlight, you know, and then like, for me personally, brought always those childhood, you know, dreams of like wanting to grow up and be a singer, be on stage. And you're able to do that in capoeira. You know, you're like there in front of like, 20, 30 people, whatever, 5 people, but you're the one leading, you're the one singing, you know, and it's a call and response. So everybody has to participate, you know? So it's like that mentally, it is huge. I came across, researching a little bit for this panel today, I came across yesterday on a study on rat labs, right? From 2018, where they put like a single rat, in a cage with heroin. The rat will go straight to heroin and got hooked. Then they made several rats together, heroin and water. They'll go to water. That community aspect, it changed their choice, and if you think about how we treat people, how we see each other, how we deal with mental health, and it's like a 101. And if you go back to tradition, like indigenous traditions, you see it's a circle, it's everybody's, the whole community together. It's not like a therapy session, just 101. It's like everybody together, because, if you heal, if you feel better, I'll feel better, everybody's gonna feel better. And we have to have that. And I think Capoeira has, that aspect. And in Brazil, you're definitely gonna see that people utilizing Capoeira in that sense of let's get together and play Capoeira music and just let it go, and people will go for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, 7 hours of doing that, and you get out of there, you want more. You want to see people again. You want to have that connection again. You don't want to you don't go home as oh man, you go home yes, and I'm going to practice, I'm going to get better. You push yourself, and the competition is within yourself, right? And the competition is how much good energy can I give to this community? Can I come back tomorrow and sing better? And that song, I forgot the lyrics, so I'm going to work on that so I can go next time and sing correctly and all of that. It's a huge part of how Capoeira can support, all of us as a community to grow, to heal, to get better, to be better human beings. I don't play Capoeira by myself. I cannot play Capoeira by myself. I need to have other person to play with me, plus people to play the instruments, plus people to sing. It's a whole community aspect interaction right there. A minimum, we have 8 instruments. So it's a minimum of 10 people for you to do in a nice way, 8 instruments plus 2 people playing the game, But ideally, we've done events with 150, 200 people, and you feel the energy, you get out of there feeling alive, feeling that you belong, it's a beautiful feeling, and I'm talking about Capoeira because what I know, but I know many other art forms have that same feeling. It brings the same spirit to people.
So Fabio, I so appreciate and value you. When I was in Brazil, I was working and running the whole time, but the very last day I was there, I was able to go to the beach, and there was a woman there I was traveling with, and she sang a song while we were in the water about a boat floating in the water and your body releasing and letting go and just moving with the current. And she, it was a Capoeira song. But then even in regards to what you were saying about your own personal experiences and being here in Birmingham, Alabama, you create that experience. I remember coming to your home, you had a dinner, going down into the basement, and he was like, oh, you guys are going to hang out. And you handed me a berimbau. So now here I am with this instrument, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, oh, you'll be fine. And you're like, we're just playing. It was beautiful. It was such a community. It was such a space of just of healing and fun. And it felt like family, even though I didn't know everyone there. And you create that space. You create that space, I think, because of the human being that you are, but also because of the practice of Capoeira. And so I appreciate you so much for being here and sharing all of that history and all of that culture. And I look forward to COVID kind of calming down again so that we can all get together again in that way. So Dana, thank you. Dana, are you on air? Oh, you're muted.
I'm here with you.
Okay, perfect. So like you mentioned earlier, when we first came on, you've been in the DJ space for roughly almost maybe 20 years, but then you up and went and became a licensed therapist, like as if you weren't doing enough, right? And so I'm really curious about what inspired you to go that route professionally.
A little bit of what everybody already said. I was already in a space where I was meeting people, speaking to people, talking. My mother's a social worker. My dad's a pastor. that's kind of what my life was already. And I just believe that if I'm out here giving this goodness out, let's credential this goodness so that it will make sense and so that I can be in the right network. So not only musically and in the entertainment industry, but mental health wise as well, just life wise. I believe that life is about balance and living life in balance. So I turn up on Monday, and on Tuesday, I'm in the office, like really chill with a pen and a notebook. But I feel like each part of us has to be responded to. And I was responding to those parts. And not only was I doing it for everybody else, but I knew that I needed to do it better for myself. So therefore, I was like, let me go back to school. And I went back and got the credentials. And like I already had credentials in broadcast and radio, TV broadcasting. So that was cool, that worked. But I wanted to really know. I wanted to know. I didn't want to just Google and find memes and things. I wanted the real deal. So I went and got it.
I appreciate the space that you create in your show, Vital. You talk about relationships. I believe that No More Martyrs has been on with you maybe a time or two. What are some of the mental health conversations that you see come out just in general conversations about relationships?
Everything. So relationships are where we thrive in every type of relationship. So the mental health issues that come out, a lot of anxiety and depression, self-esteem issues, past trauma. And that's what I like to work on, and look at the past trauma in relationships and how we relate. We call the segment DMR, dating, mating, and relating. How do we do it? So a lot of the issues come that way. We look at family trauma, how families teach us how to experience other people. We end up talking about sexual health and how sex issues affect mental health. I mean, we go way out with it. Wherever people go, we go with them.
So we do have a question in the question and answer box, and I'm just going to put this out to the panel, and anyone who might want to jump in can please respond. The question is, what are some of the examples of programs using music to heal and enhance mental well-being? You know, DJ Supreme has already mentioned the program that he's doing in the schools. Shanti mentioned a program that she is doing with musicians. Are there
not necessarily about using music to heal? We're trained musicians, so I don't want to confuse people. So it's a little bit different of a practice.
Okay. Well, are there other programs that anyone on the panel can speak to? Examples of programs that are used that use music to heal and enhance mental wellness?
I'd like to say thank you for that question. In fact, it inspired me to really consider how to specify mindful sound and mindful listening, because there's already that in some mindfulness offerings. Within the yoga programming that I offer in schools and in shelters, we always have a bit of practice that's focused on breath work. So that's called pranayama. Prana means energy, yama means controlling or austerity of. And then there's also a bit of mindful sound. Some of it's mantra and some of it's meditation with mudras, which means position of the hands or seal. And then I'll offer them, and every time I'm with youth especially, I'll tell them that these are all coping strategies. These are all, you know, if this were to occur within you or in your life, this may help, maybe not. Everybody's different. So allowing them to be with their own experience, but I'll offer them, there's different sounds and mudras that are very specific to help calm the nervous system, or to help with anxiety, or help process and channel rage. And sometimes we'll utilize it in the practice while, you know, it comes up in the kids. But again, you're inspiring me to do something very specific to that, which I think is really awesome. So thank you, Brian, for giving us that.
Does anyone else want to respond?
Go ahead.
Yes, please, Shelly.
So far, ever since 2018, I've been holding this intimate gathering with my listeners. It's called Duyan, or hammock, or cradle in a way. It's like a safe space that I hold for them, wherein it's not just like well, yes, it is an intimate show. It's like where we sit on the floor and we're like gathered in a circle. And where I also initially, like, I give them the space to like share a song or a poem or anything that reflects like how they feel during that time. And it's like since it was very intimate, like it was like a spin the bottle thing where we had to pick like a person to express. But it's more of my point is I think it's good to just hold these safe spaces for everyone to express. It's just you just have to like facilitate it in a way where you're just going through process together. I'm looking into developing it more because recently I've been co-facilitating workshops for teachers here in the Philippines. It's for the Department of Education. So because all the teachers here are so burnt out because of the new normal, and you know, like they're not used to using laptops and all these like online classes. They're really tired, so we've been holding space for them, and we have like specific topics, and then we use like different forms of art, not just music but also art. Like they get to draw, we somehow like incorporate like different kinds of expressive arts. And in terms of music, it's really like just in checking in with how they feel and all that. Like I had to like write like specific songs for every activity, so it's something like that. Like maybe it can be incorporated somehow in schools or in your community. So yeah.
Fabio, I saw you unmute for a second. Did you want to share something?
Yeah, just for a second. I've been teaching capoeira for kids in the school system for like 15 years. And what I see that works the best is when the school let me do what I do. You know, I had many issues before in the school system where people like, oh, you have to do this. And it's like, no, that doesn't work, you know, because the kids, I don't want to treat the kids the way you treat them. You know, they're going to be in my class. So I'm going to teach them the way I teach them, you know. So I had like some issues with that before, some teachers or principals, you know, oh, your kids are too loud or they're running around. And it's like, yes, it's my class. That's how we do. You know, it's like I wanted to respect that, you know. Even like kids, especially the kids that we call them the troublemakers. Those are the ones that I had teachers like, you know, be like, oh, we're going to kick them out of your class. Like, no, you don't. They're the ones going to stay here. And what I usually do with those kids that you see, they're a little bit more hyper than others, they will be my helpers. You know, I get them to help me. I'm like, you're going to be teaching them with me. And they get so excited with that responsibility that they have that they change. You know, I've seen that many times. The kids, like, they start feeling more responsible. So then they're the ones after, no, stop running around. Let's do the class, you know, like Mr. Fab is teaching us, you know, so just that mindset, you know, because they usually ignore, they're usually the ones being yelled at. So what I do is that, you know, but again, like I've been successful in place where like the teachers, the school system is like, you know, you do you, and it's been great. But where they try to impose too many norms and rules, I tend to walk away from those places.
That is, there's so much loaded into that response. And, you know, Fabio, I would like us to continue this conversation because I think, and I mean, there is research that has spoken to the use of the practice, especially in students who are disruptive, especially in students who are deemed, you know, as difficult, especially as students who have been trapped in and sucked into a school to prison pipeline. There's research that supports that from an academic side. So do the work and know that you've got a support system that knows that research, that is in full support of that work. Okay, when we started this, oh, yes, Shanti?
Yeah, quickly, whoever asked that question, one of the things that my organization is doing is we are researching other organizations right now to figure out who really is doing some groundbreaking work in terms of programs that are already put together for music and therapy and healing. So I'm happy to put our email address in the chat section and they can reach out to me. And as we get information in whether it's national, if they're looking for a particular market, we're happy to share.
Perfect. Thank you. This is how we build community, share those resources. So when we started this panel, I did mention that No More Martyrs hosts each Sunday, Soundtrack Sunday, where we ask individuals to share what song is on the soundtrack of their life. So what I'd like to do in closing, because we have about 5 more minutes left in the panel, is for each of you to go around and let people know how they can stay connected to you and follow your work, but also share what song is playing on the soundtrack of your life today. We could start with Dana.
Why you gotta come for me? To be honest, just because I'm in this like super cool space, but still trying to like deal with relationships with everybody else in mine as well. I'm looking at Leela James' Complicated. Like that one is saying everything. Why you gotta make this so complicated? What are we doing here? So that's the song that's playing. What was the other part of the question? That I had to think about my song.
Sure. How can people stay connected to you and the work that you're doing?
They can call me directly, 205-447-4111. What's the 411? You can call me directly. Okay. Nadia, you know, you can text me.
You know I do. So you know I text you.
You can find me on Facebook, Lady Woo, and that'll send you to my personal page where I talk so much noise, but it's like solid noise. It's good noise. It's a lot of stuff. So go get that stuff, and then on Instagram, watch Woo work, and I'll post it as well.
Perfect. Fabio? Oh, you're muted.
Yes, I'm gonna make my own soundtrack here.
Yes.
Maior é Deus, e quem não sou eu. Tudo que eu tenho foi Deus que me deu. Tudo que eu tenho foi Deus que me deu. Na roda da capoeira, grande pequeno sou eu, camaradinha. That's my soundtrack right there. And I post my email and my phone number on the chat. If anybody wants to contact me, please feel free.
Thank you.
We are at Railroad Park, doing class there, open park, you know, outside. So being a little bit safe. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for blessing us with that. DJ Supreme.
Yes. As far as what's on my current soundtrack, actually, I just recently posted on my Facebook page, Leave It All Behind by Foreign Exchange, because it's a very, you know, it's one of those songs. I'm right now in a space. I'm doing a balancing act. I'm juggling, and sometimes you just feel like you just need to leave it all behind at some point, and that's the message in the song. You know, with everything, all the day-to-day stuff that you're going through, sometimes you just need to just kick back, leave it all behind. So that's currently what's on my playlist right now. I just posted my IG page. You can find me on IG at Official Team Supreme. You can also follow us on Facebook. Everything is at Shaheed and DJ Supreme, or Knowledge, Rhythm, and Understanding. That, of course, the initiative that I mentioned earlier, teaching hip hop to the youth as therapy. We actually we hold classes every 2 weeks at the Firehouse in Avondale. So feel free to drop through. It's for everyone. It's definitely something that everyone can enjoy and get something out of. But yeah, at Official Team Supreme on IG. That's where you can find me.
Perfect. Thank you. Shanti?
Yes. So my personal song that I love, it's an old school song. So yeah, I'm 50, but it was released a long time ago before that in the 80s, but sometimes you can find, you know, healing in all songs. It's called Keep On by D-Train. I recently lost my sister 2 years ago unexpectedly, who was like the center of my life. And I'll be honest, you know, once I got myself together after my own suicidal ideation in 2015, this has been a big setback for me. So I love the work that I'm doing, but I have to really encourage myself with self-affirmations each day. And that's the one thing that music does for me, is the ability to create intentional self-affirmations throughout the day. And so I have to know that I have to keep going and keeping on. So look up that song. And then I just texted you a playlist that we created. It's a Silence the Shame Stigma Free 1.0 that I just made on Apple Music. So if anyone has Apple Music, you can share this playlist with them later. And you can reach me at Shanti Das 404, SHANTIDAS 404, and follow us at Silence the Shame on IG, and on Twitter and Facebook, it's at Silence TH Shame. And our website is silencetheshame.com. And we also have a podcast with over 48 episodes that could be really helpful for you all. We interview clinicians, therapists, celebrities, musicians, and everyday people. You can find it on Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. It's been an honor. Thank you again, Nadia, for everything that you do and for just being my sister in this work. I honor you, and I thank everyone on the panel today and everyone that viewed. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Shanti. Shelly?
Yes, my soundtrack, actually, it's really like the personal lullaby I wrote to myself, which is Puno. I just sing a little bit of it. It goes, Sa ihip ng hangin, ramdam ko ang iyong pagmamahal dito sa ilalim ng iyong puno ako'y magpapahinga. I'll just keep it short. But if you want to listen to the whole song, just stream it on Spotify. Just search COELI Music Chelly, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, Chelly Music. I'm also active on YouTube, and yeah, it's such an honor to be here and to just witness all these wonderful stories, and I really love the shared energy here. Thank you, Nadia. Like, it was really by chance. I think you just like found me on the internet. I'm so happy you found me on the internet, and it's amazing how being able to hear different stories but with the same heart, the same advocacy, and all the more that I feel empowered to do what I have to do with my music. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is just the beginning. We're going to stay connected. We're going to find other ways to work together. And once travel is the thing, we're going to really, really do some exciting things. So I thank you so much for being here. Stefanie?
I'm geeking out on all y'all. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing. For me, I think the main track for me that's just speaking to me is Super Bloom by, I think it's Mr. Wives. Let me look again. Yeah, Mr. Wives, Super Bloom. And I love it because I tend to be a person that really is intensely focused in the work and intensely focused on the people that are right in front of me. But Super Bloom is all about reminding us to celebrate and celebrate all that we've overcome, and to really like, there's almost a little like maternal quality in it, and like us acknowledging ourselves as little badasses, honoring that truth in us and just really celebrating it and saying like, you know what, I deserve congratulations. I've gone through so much, and I am going to continue to rise. I'm going to continue. So that's the song for me that's speaking. And then I just put in the chat my Instagram account, Stefanie Tovar. Stefanie, the Latina spelling. Links to my music. It is on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, all this stuff. And then links to my classes, because I do have yoga classes in my YouTube channel as well. I'm on Facebook, you know, Steph Tovar Yoga, or if you put down Healing Arts by Stefanie Tovar, you can do that. And I hope that y'all, I hope I get to be in service to you all, and that we stay connected. I wish to be a resource in service to you. So thanks, y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for being here. I guess the song playing on the soundtrack of my life right now is God is Love by India.Arie. That song is just beautiful to me. I think listening to Fabio and thinking about being in the ocean, thinking about being at the beach is making me think about that, because in that song, she talks about being in the ocean, swimming with fish and, you know, starfish and different things. And she talks about the fact that we're connected and that her tears are salt water, just like the water that she's swimming in. And every time I have the opportunity to go to a beach, I sing that song to God. because I just feel it's so connected and it makes me just feel closer to him. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We will take a short break now before we go into session 3 for everyone who is participating in our annual